Good morning, everybody. It is Tammy coming to you live for Wake and Bake Mornings. Coming to you live in the Hometown Hippie VIP page here on Facebook, as well as my YouTube channel. It is 9 a.m. on Monday morning, and that means we are live for Wake and Bake. And as you know, Wake and Bake requires no brassiere. Apparently, that's like the rule for Wake and Bake. It's like first rule of Fight Club. First rule of Wake and Bake. It's like no bras, right? That's the rule. So good morning. Dennis is like, I never have that problem. So like Tammy does. So I wear the scarf to cover up all of the things that do not need to be like showing on the face of the Book of Faces. Um, Yesterday I fought a headache all day long, but I won, right? I fought a headache all day long and I came out victorious, and here I am today for Wake and Bake, and it is Monday, February the 14th, 2022, the day of love, right? The day of love. It is Valentine's Day. So, to all of my Valentines out there, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for joining me this morning. As you jump on here, though, do me a favor. This is way more fun with friends. So, if you don't normally comment, I need you to give me a little Valentine's Day love today and say hello and tell me where you're watching from. If you could also do me a favor, if you could oh no, good morning. Glad to catch you, but sad the reason is waiting to go into the employee health to get tested for COVID. Boo hiss. Boo, boo, boo. I do not like that, Sarah, but I hope that you feel better, and I'm glad that you're watching this morning. I hope Sydney had a very happy birthday yesterday. I saw that you were doing that. And, I didn't really have, I had some things that were rolling around in my head last night and this morning. And I said, I don't have a script this morning for Wake and Bake, because Wake and Bake is not about being scripted. It is not about having like something you have to talk about. Wake and Bake mornings are really about exactly that, like waking up, taking a little chill in the morning, and then just talking about whatever happens. I'm glad that she had a wonderful birthday. I hope that you are in the clear, that there is nothing to be concerned about, that you're not quarantined and all the things, right? Now, it is Monday morning. It is the first week where Wake and Bake has kind of been like, okay, it's on the agenda. Like last week, it was just like, meh, we'll throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. It seems to have been something that people liked. I am also going to go in here and tag a few folks who tend to catch me like after a couple of minutes, and I hate for them to miss out on the beginnings, because I am not going to stay long every day. Like, it's not going to be every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like hours online, but there will be a little time. So I want to give people a chance to, and I know Heather Johns is probably enjoying her family. Sorry. So I want to give people a chance. I'm trying to get that off because I cannot stand hearing my voice. I'm just going to go close that out, because apparently my fingers do not allow me to do technology today. But I want to tag a few people who normally show up. And if you have a friend who's in this group who is normally watching, you not see on here, give them a tag in the comments, so we can keep the party going, because it is back to reality, right? So it's also Monday morning. So even though it is Love Day, it is Valentine's Day, it is Monday morning, it is kind of like, we talked about this a little bit last week about how people tend to ruin their entire weekend by wishing it away, or, ruin their weekend on Sunday night by starting to do that woe is me thing, right? That, oh, tomorrow's Monday, everything sucks, tomorrow's Monday. And their whole weekend gets destroyed. Or spending your entire week, right, wishing away your life to get to like these two magical days that we've brought out to be this like day of respite, days of fun. And it's like we have quarantined, for lack of a better word, we have quarantined all the things we're supposed to do that are not responsible, right? We have quarantined fun. We have quarantined adventure. We have quarantined all of these things that they can only take place on weekends, right? Because we have all these responsibilities during the week and we can't find time during the week, but we can like carve out these 2 days a week, and then we pack in all of the experiences, all of the big things in life. We're trying to throw in either to these 2 days or into these magical like 40-hour weeks we get off for vacation. And I'm going to tell you that you should not do that. And I told you, I never know what's going to come out. I never know if it's going to be 50 people watching or 2 people watching or whatever. So if you're watching this live today, if you catch this live and there is a live up here in the corner somewhere over here, right? Over here, there is like a live button that says live and like a time counter. Then you caught this live, whether it be now or from the beginning. Like Dennis was here from the beginning. He caught it from the beginning. Some of y'all, like, so just popped in now. Some people may just now be seeing this live button up here. And I'm in this general vicinity because I cannot point. Oh, there we go. That button right there. So good morning. So if you're watching this live, do me a favor and drop me a 1 in the comments. Now, this is old school. And if you catch this later on and that whole situation over there is gone and you just see the hometown hippie, then you are watching this on the riggedy replay. And I need you to do me a favor and drop me a number 2 for a replay. So we are time, right? We constrain these times and these events and the things. We assign them their roles, right? We assign them their dates, their times, all the things. I mean, think about it. Even down to, and we quarantine things. We give it. It's like this is when we can do you, right? We even have like a time. Like the world has even put a time on taking a puff in the day, right? 420. That's the time that you go and you chill out. That's the time that has been quarantined. And I like that word now. It's sort of like a sign, quarantined. Like daytime pot smoking has been like quarantined to 420. It's like, okay, 420, little puff, right? Well, whatever. And I'm going to tell you is that you need to, for Valentine's Day, right? For Love Day, why don't we reclaim our time? Why don't we reframe and reclaim, right? Reframe that the weekdays are, for the man, right? We're giving those up for somebody else. I want you to legitimately stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. Does anybody know what that is? That was because I'm on like this 80s hip hop thing, because 80s and 90s hip hop thing because of last night's Super Bowl. But that is actually the Humpty Dance. He was the guy that sang that to do the hump. It was Humpty, yeah. This the song, the Humpty Dance. That's a line from it. You look funny, yo, but I make money. I love that song. So look up the Humpty Dance, and you'll know where that came from. But I want you to reimagine your life, right? Imagine your life without weekends, right? Imagine your life without vacation. Imagine your life without a clock. Because here's what I want you to understand, right? Every day, every moment is what we make of it. You can have the best day on a Wednesday, right? Yeah, I don't care. Eminem's not old school to me. He's like a new rap artist to me. Like he could have not even. I mean, he's good. I love him. Don't get me wrong, but like Dr. Dre and Snoop could have done it all, and Mary J. Blige, all 3 of them just by themselves. Like I don't care about 50. I don't care about Eminem. I don't care about Kendrick Lamar. Like I didn't even know who he was, because I just don't. But I was definitely a Snoop Dogg. I'm still a huge Snoop Dogg fan, and Dr. Dre. Like I've always something about Dr. Dre. I've just always been a huge Dr. Dre fan. I love the artistry and the fact that he's kind of about being a service because he's a mix. He does all the mixing and stuff. So he tries to find everybody's place, and he's kind of like a director, and I love that. I feel like Eminem's going to be in a lot of stuff, but my boys are getting older. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre are getting older, so I need them to like do their thing while they can. But anyway, I digress, right? I digress. But what I'm talking about, right, is living your life in such a way that you're never wishing it away. Living your life in a way in which um, you're not quarantining things for specific times, right? That you live your life with the true freedom of making the best of every moment, right? And making the best of every moment. Getting up on Monday mornings and being as excited about that as you are a Saturday morning. About going down the water slide, from the like going to the water park on a Tuesday. Does it have to be a Saturday? It does not have to be a Saturday. Universe knew I needed this message today, right? Living your life in a way that you reclaim your clock. You reclaim your timeline, right? You reclaim your timeline. And I'm not saying that everybody in the whole world, right, is going to live this life of leisure. I'm not saying that you have to hit the lottery. Like a lot of people hear that and like that sounds all fine and dandy. And this is what like I tell y'all all the time. I get these like I hear things and kind of like I kind of get this image. And the energy that I felt just now is everybody going, well, that sounds great, but some of us have to work for a living. And I don't know why. And that's a thing with me, right? Because um freedom. We talked about freedom last week, right? And it's freedom of the time, freedom of the finances, and all the things. I am not in any stretch of the imagination telling you that, like, just tell your job that, like, you're reclaiming your timeline and you're going on the amusement park on a Tuesday. What I am saying, right? What I am saying is that when the opportunity comes, right? When the opportunity arises to let your hair down and to take an exhale, don't quarantine the exhales. Don't stuff them in their Saturday spot. Don't give this Sunday. I'm telling you to live your life in such a way that you find joy in whatever it is. So on that Tuesday, that water slide, joy for you may be something different, right? But it's finding joy in every day, finding the silver lining in every day, not wishing away your life because life is too short. We're only here for a mere moment. And if you spend most of your life wishing away your days to get to this fun day, that is very sad to me. Can anybody else attest? Can I get some thumbs up, some hearts, some O faces? If you do that, if you spend your time going, oh my God, I cannot wait for Friday. It is almost Friday, or only 3 more days till vacation. If you've ever like done the vacation countdown, I need some thumbs up, some hearts, some O faces, right? Because I know that y'all have done that, right? And if you have a friend in here who maybe right now you're like, well, I'm not going to tag them there at work. Tag them. I don't care where they're at today. I want you to tag the person that needs to hear this, right? Tag the person that needs to hear this. Don't wish those 3 days away. Beautiful things could happen in those 3 days. If I could go back in time, and we can never go backward, don't go backwards, not looking that way. But if you think about, right, if you think about any regrets that you have in life, and we always kind of come up with regrets when there's like an ending, right? The death of somebody, right? Like my mom passed away, and I spent a year going, oh my gosh, if I could have had this moment back, if I could have called in that day when she wanted me to come be at the doctor's office, and I was pissed about it. I was like, God, Mom, I got to go to work. I got things to do. Call somebody else. Like, why is it always got to be me? If I could like go back, right? And I could, but you can't, right? But what you can do is you can go forward not making those same mistakes. You can go forward learning from those past mistakes. I can't change the time I spent with somebody who's no longer here. I can't undo exactly what happened in the past. But what I can do is I can change the way forward. That's how you honor and you learn from those past regrets and those past mistakes and those things that were supposed to like make you stronger and make you smarter. Can anybody give me some hell yes, some amens if you know that feeling? If you've got those things, and I feel preachy all of a sudden, like I feel like, and then and I can feel it coming, right? And it's true because somebody does, and Sarah says it's her today. And this is the thing, right? There's two people watching, right? There's two people watching. And if there was one person watching and that person was Sarah, if I'm going to sit here and be like, well, I shouldn't even do Wake and Bake because nobody watches it. It doesn't matter, right? But Sarah says, hell yeah, I need to hear this today. So my looking back in the past when I was doing other businesses and I was like, well, got up early. I, got online. I made myself vulnerable. Only one person watched. I'm not doing that again, right? But learning from past mistakes is that your message is your message and one person hears it. It's meant for that one person to keep going despite of, right? So I keep moving forward despite of, and somebody's hearing a message they're supposed to hear. Maybe you can't go back and you can't give that time to that person who's no longer here, but the person who the lesson you were supposed to learn by not having that time was for the person who you're supposed to spend tomorrow with, who needs you tomorrow, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to think about that in that way. I want you to think about the fact that time is precious and we should not spend our life wishing away that's our biggest commodity, right? They're not making any more land and they're not making any more time. So my husband, I've always been told like land's a good investment because they're not making any more of it. But you know what else they're not making any more of? Like you can't go back and reclaim that time. You just cannot do it. Once it is past, it is gone. Every moment is fleeting. And once it passes, it is that moment we just had a second ago. It's gone forever. It's gone. So don't spend your life in regret of the time you didn't spend, right? Spend your life in service of trying to make the most of every moment you're given, of every moment that you have. Reclaim your timeline, reclaim your clock. Stop saying that Saturdays are for fun, right? Saturdays are for the boys. No, it's not, right? Mondays can be for smiling and laughing and having a good time. Oh, I don't have time to do that. Yes, you do. You make time for what's important. And that goes back to today's message, right? Today's message is about time and Valentine's Day. And I don't know why, like the word Valentines, people say that. I hate that so much when people mispronounce Valentine's Day. Like, happy Valentine's. I'm like, first of all, it is not times, it is times. But happy Valentine's, right? Spend times with people. And maybe that's what that is about. Because how many people, and this is something that's really weird, like as a child, right? As a child, like older people, like this is just an example of something that's coming into my head, right? My mother and father-in-law are in their 80s, the late 80s. And when my grandson, who's 10 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, wants to play Legos, they stop what they are doing and they will get in the floor and they will play Legos, or they will do a puzzle, or they will go outside and watch him climb a tree. Because with age comes wisdom, right? They know that those moments are fleeting. My mother-in-law's even said to me, she's like, I was like, I would like to do some grandparent things. Like, y'all kind of take over the grandparenting when we're around. And they do. Like, when we're around, my husband and I do not feel like grandparents. We feel like uncles, kind of. Like, they kind of roll into this, like, grandparent. They're great grandparents, but they really take over the idea of grandparents. And what you would, I don't know, like maybe nobody imagines me as like a grandma, but I am a grandma. Like, I want to do grandma things for my grandson. And when my mother-in-law's around, they take over. And, like my mom, I remember like Evan, my son, right? When he's like asked to like, Dad, come outside and do this. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing something right now. I'll be there in a second. Like, parents don't see it, but older people, right? Because they knew how fast that time went with their kids. And my mother-in-law and father-in-law are like, not only do they know how fast it went with their kids, they know how fast it went with their grandkids already. And now it's their great-grandkids. So they appreciate the moments that they have. They appreciate the time that they have. They don't quarantine playing trucks to like an hour on a Wednesday. If he wants to play trucks on a, Thursday at 3 p.m, they're like, all right, dude, let's do it. Because they understand it. They understand the time. And what I'm asking each of us to do, right, is not wait until we're 90 years old or 85 years old and time really does seem more finite to us. And that's what it is, right? Time seems more real to them because they've seen so much of it go by so fast, right? It's kind of like, um, they've experienced more time, so they understand it, right? So what I'm telling you is that you will find time for the things that are important, and you know the things that are important to you. Because what I'm going to tell you is this, right? What matters to Dennis, what the time that Dennis needs to take and spend for Dennis and Dennis's family and Dennis's fun and Dennis's things is not going to be the same thing that Sarah or Leslie or myself or somebody else might need, right? And what Sarah needs is not the same as what Leslie needs. And what Leslie needs is not the same as what I need. And on and on and on it goes, right? We are each individuals. And that's why I can't tell you exactly how to do it, because I'm like, I don't know what your timeline looks like. I don't know what's important to you. It is very, very unique. This whole entire life experience, right? This whole entire life that you're living is 100% your perception. Your perception, your time, your clock, your everything, right? And I can't tell you, Sarah, on Monday you're going to do this for 5 minutes, that for no one can give you that script. And that's why it's important for self-awareness and self-love and uh what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. It's gone, but it's okay. Got to get off here and got to get in and get tested. Y'all send good vibes for this test. I'm sending all kinds of positive vibes for negative, right? We're sending positive vibes for negative results. That's what we're going to send. We're going to send positive vibes for those negative results. It's going to take you 3 seconds. Self-confidence. Self-confidence, yes. Self-confidence, self-worth, right? It is important for us to understand self is what it is. It's to look inward, so that then we can then control that what's important to us. Because if we don't know what matters to us, if we don't know the things that we really want to spend our time on, it's such a great commodity, right? You need to really kind of look inward to know how to live that life without a timeline, to live that life without a clock, to not quarantine things to certain times, right? It's not so much always about us quarantining fun to that. It's about us not knowing how to like do anything. We've been conditioned to this 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. You have to do these things, then you have to do this thing, then you have to do that thing. And then on Saturdays, these are the things that happen on Saturdays. It always amazes me. Like and I'm the world's worst. Like the 420 festival, 420 Virginia 420 Hip Festival that I've been invited to is on 420. And this is one of the things that kind of came up for me. I was like, is it going to be on 423, which is when all the other events are? It's on a Saturday, right? The Saturday after 420. And the guy goes, no, 420 is on a Wednesday. So it's a 420 fest. It's going to be on 420. Like, no matter what day it was on, we were going to do it on 420. And I'm like, well, that's a Wednesday. Like, I did it. I was like, whoa, like, let me stop myself. And I'm like, why am I upset that, I'm like, well, who's going to be there? People don't do things on Wednesdays. I'm like, what? I'm like, but it's like February 14th, Valentine's Day. It runs from Monday to whatever. And I'm like, nobody questions that. Like, there's people do stuff on Valentine's Day. So I don't know why I'm like quarantining the weekend, right? I was doing it. Like, I was saying, okay, well, we can't do it till the weekend. But yeah, you can, right? You can. You can stop and smell the roses on Thursday as easy as you can on Sundays, right? And it's kind of like even I think about this. Like I'm talking, I know this is like this is wake and bake is what it is, right? So it's like a wake and bake. What's happening? Even dieting, even editing our food or starting like a wellness program. What do we quarantine that to? Anybody know what day of the week we quarantine dieting to? Anybody know what day that is? Anybody want to tell me? Because you can guess. I mean, I know what day it is. Elevated people take a vacation day for, yeah, they will. They will take, people I know take that day off already. They're like, it's 420, yo. But We even quarantine starting self-improvement. Like I can't on Monday, I'm starting my diet. Right? I'm starting this on Monday. I'm gonna give it the old college try. Like I'm gonna eat like shit all weekend, but on Monday I'm gonna start fresh. We pick and we choose and we quarantine these days and say this is the day that we do this. This is the day that we do that. And there's a lot of like mythology, and there's a lot of things attached to all of the days and the gods that they represent and all of the things that go along with that. But I'm going to tell you, the whole idea of quarantining the weekends, that is a us thing. That is a new aged modern, gotta get here, gotta get there, all the stuff. And it's a lot of it is also American, because I have, European friends and stuff, and they do not live life the way that we do, right? They do not live life the way that they do. A lot of them have learned, they take more holiday time and they work shorter hours, and they understand that they're going to be the most productive by taking time to focus on themselves and having some balance in life, right? And that's what this is really truly about. And interesting message today. I really thought it was going to be about love and all the stuff, and maybe it will be. I mean, we're only 26 minutes into the morning, but I want you to do me a favor, right? I want you to tell me, um, think about your like most fun day. Think about like a day when you just had the most fun. And I want you to tell me like what day of the week it was on, if you can remember. Like you should be able to remember. You'll think about it, right? Think about the most fun day. Like how many, this is one of the things, I'm gonna tell a little story. So like Memorial Day, right? It's a Monday, the actual Memorial Day. I think that's why like long weekends and like when holidays fall on Mondays, that we, especially as Americans, like I can speak about Americans because I'm an American, right? I'm a crazy American. We get excited. It's because it's like taboo, right? We're like, ooh, we're doing something like risque on a Monday. Like it makes you feel more dangerous when you're doing something on a day that's not set aside for play, right? When you get up Monday and like go to a pool party and like barbecue, you're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a good day. Like you get excited. I mean, I don't know. I get excited. Is it just me? Is it just me? Tell me, y'all, it's not just me. Speaking of getting excited, y'all know what time it is. It's time for a camera break, and that means we're awake, but now it's time to bake. So give yourself a moment and take a puff puff, and then if you're home by yourself, you don't have to pass. Like that's the best thing about being home alone, is that when you do a puff puff, you don't have to pass. Sorry, I couldn't talk and do that. I know it's 9:30 in the morning. This is part of my job. This is part of my job. But it's also, and that's what I love about Monday mornings, right? And I guess, and here's what I'm telling you, when I tell you to regain your timeline, if you're watching me and you're like, that is some bullshit, that is not fair, like I'm stuck with my headphones on in an office, reclaim your timeline, right? I was much like you. I was much like you a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I was up on Monday mornings and I was in the office and I was on the computer with my headsets on going, thank you for calling, blah, 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 blah. This is Tammy speaking. How may I help you? Uh-huh. Okay. One moment, please. Oh, I see here. This is the problem. And they're like, meh, 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 meh. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Hold on a moment. I was like, this is bull, right? But I decided that you make time for what's important, right? I stopped figuring out that I was like, my life is not going to be easier because I decided to reclaim my timeline and reclaim like how I'm going to move forward. I work a lot more, right? But it's my decision to make. And that goes back to our freedom discussion. But uh, again, like anybody else like love a Monday holiday? Like anybody else want to give me some feedback on that? Like what's your thoughts about a Monday holiday? Because you do, like you feel more like empowered because you're out on a Monday. Um, but if you are watching this, you're like, what the crap, right? You can find your joy. You can make those same decisions and make those same moves. That's what I did. Like I knew that Monday mornings for me looked like that, right? And there was not a whole lot of joy in that. What I did start doing is I started being grateful for the moments that I did have, right? I would get up on Monday mornings and say, thank you so much. I'm so very grateful that I have a gainful employment that allows me to work from home, because that was the first thing, right? I got to be at home. Like, I could be complaining about this. This is not a fun job. It's kind of a shitty job. I've got to talk to people who are mad at me all the time and yelling. But what is the thing I can be grateful for? Find gratitude in everything. I said the first thing I need to do is find gratitude that I get to work from home. Then I started to try to find, versus like trying to look for things to make me more miserable about being here and being on this timeline and being, like having to answer when to go to the bathroom, because that was hard, right? And that was the hardest part about the week starting, right? You have the 2 days off, excited about your weekdays, but then you had to think about the fact that all during the week as a grown woman, I had to ask someone permission to go to the bathroom. But I was like, I'm not going to be grateful for that, but what am I grateful for? What can I find that's going to raise the vibration of this job to help me do it? Okay, I can go in every day and do this with a kind and cheerful heart, and with gratitude, because I get to not leave my house. I have an 11-step commute. I don't have to worry about getting cold. I don't have to worry about getting dressed. I don't have to worry. I was like, I have to go to the coffee shop, which is like 15 steps. I have to go to the shower and then I have to come back in here. Rainy days, I didn't have to get wet, right? So I started finding gratitude in that. Right. And I was like, that's going to make me happy and joyful to go do this job, because if I don't do this job, then I'm going to have to go find a job working for somebody else outside of the home when I can't have these grateful things. So I started by finding gratitude in that. Right. Then I started by defining what was important to me, defining what about my time was important. One of the things I did not like about the job is that I had to work until 6 o'clock every night of the week. And that's kind of why my schedule, I think now, is 10 to 6, because I kind of got on that condition schedule. It also gives me time in the mornings to do my lives before I have to start my office work, right? But I started finding gratitude in that. Right. And then I was like, okay, what's the next thing? Well, I knew that I did not want anybody to control my time. So I needed to find something that I could do, that I could be the boss, that it was a service, a time, a talent, something that I could offer that was monetizable, right? That was energy for energy that I could actually earn a living off of. And I've always wanted to get back into being an entrepreneur. And that was the big thing for me, right? And as you see behind me over here, I started with my direct sales business, because it was a good way to be a side hustle, right? And then from that, regaining my timeline again, because that takes a lot of effort and energy. And even into Hometown Hippie, with setting office hours of 10 to 6, was me reclaiming my timeline. And I'm going to tell you, like, I say all that because, and it was not like an overnight thing where I'm like, I'm grateful for this job, poof, I work for myself. Or I'm grateful for this job, I'm going to start doing a side hustle, then poof, I do this, and then poof, I do that. It was a process. And that's what I'm telling y'all, right? I'm not going to tell you that you can stop wishing for the weekend today. Like all of a sudden, poof, boom, it's done. You no longer wish for the weekend and you go to the water park on a Wednesday. You're like, I'm doing it all, right? I'm just doing it. So it is just about taking the first step into reclaiming that. The first step into not giving up time with people that you love because it's a Tuesday. When your friends call you up and like, hey, let's go have dinner tonight. Oh, it's Tuesday. Yes, you can. Find time for things that are important, and stop making excuses on yourself, right? Stop making excuses on yourself that you have this and you have that to do, and start living your life, right? Start living the life that you deserve, that you desire, that deep down. Here's the thing. Like I said, the examples that I'm giving are very personal to me. How your timeline looks, how your day-to-day, hour by hour looks, the things that are important to you, they are not the same things that are important to me. We may have similar, we're birds of a feather, right? We may have similar interest, but we are all individuals. And that's why my initial message, and why my biggest message here, always with Hometown Hippie Elevated Edibles, with Party with Tammy, or with just talking to me as a human being, right? Not a business, not a brand, not a logo. but who I am as a person. I can talk about individual things, but how you do you is up to you, right? And how all my messages talk about you having to love you, because it's defining the things, right? It goes back to my class that I was talking about, right? First thing is you have to decide. You have to decide what it is that you want. And you have to decide that you deserve to have all those things. And that starts with self-love, 100%, which today's love day. And I know that I preach this and I preach this and I preach this and I preach this, but here's the thing. You might hear it the first time. You might hear it the second, and third, and fourth time. It may take you the eighth or ninth or 10th time you come onto one of these lives and hear it, that you not just hear it, but you listen. Then it might be another 4 times before you actually act. Then another 10 times before you actually look yourself in the mirror. I mean, it could be years before you actually do any of the things. Because I know you watch these lives, and some of y'all are elevated when you watch these lives. You're like, oh, that's a great idea. Then you like take a nap and eat some chips, right? And then you get in the shower the next day, and all the things that I've said are not even on your brain, right? Then you go get out of the shower and you might take a little poofity puff and good morning, Steve. And then you might come back and you're like, oh crap, I forgot to tell myself that I love myself. And that's what I tell you all the time. Like the thing about the elevated edibles and the cooking with intention and all the magic that I put in. Good morning, Steve Lawrence. It is literally the fact that the edibles are a tool in self-discovery. You can't hear if it's a pain relief. You can't worry about taking care and bettering yourself if you're just worried about being able to move because you hurt. If you get zero sleep at night, you can't think about going out and being the kindest version of yourself and trying to make the world a better place when you feel like crap, right? Whether you're tired, you're anxious, you're actually hurting, whatever that may be. And the edibles allow you to have some reprieve from that, to slow down your brain, to pattern interrupt, to be able to evaluate a situation and move forward in the most life enhancing way, right? In the best, easiest, most effective way for you in that moment, right? Tennis, have a good day. Sorry you got to go. Come back and watch the end of this. I'm sure it's going to be good. I have a feeling it is. So what I'm saying to you is that when people tell me like your edibles healed me, and I'm like, okay, you healed yourself. You used the correct tools to do that, right? For me, sometimes I use edibles, number one, for overnight pain relief. So last night, I'm trying to figure out the right exact time, right? The right exact time to be able to have all the things that I need to have done and to like have the overnight sleep, right? So I've been playing with dosing. The love spell cookies that are also, I did in the larger, like with the citrus, I kind of ramped those up. I have been doing one of those at night, and those are dead perfect. So I know that I need around 30 milligrams, right, of the butter, the indica butter at night. I need that starting around 8 o'clock to be able to be in bed by 11 and sleep through the night and sleep through the night. That's a perfect pattern for me, right? What that allows me to do is to be rested, to get up, to be able to then bring the messages to y'all. Because yesterday morning, I was on here for 10 minutes. I had a splitting headache. I could not get myself together because I did not have my cookie at the right time on the night before because I was doing something, out of the ordinary. I did a 2.5 hour live on Saturday night doing greetings, and it took a lot of energy out of me. And I didn't regroup my energy. I didn't say, well, since I'm doing this tonight, I'm going to take tomorrow off. And I woke up and I felt awful. I didn't do the things. So that's what I tell you about the edibles and why this is all connected, right? And going back to self-love, right? Going back to self-love. It's all about self-love and regaining your timeline and doing the things that you need to do for you And you're like, how I'm trying to show you how this all kind of corresponds together as the mission of this company, as the mission of this group, as the mission of me as an individual person. So whether you are someone who I work with in the Hometown Hippie Elevated Edibles group, whether I work with you in Party with Tammy, or whether we're just someone who interacts with each other on a day-to-day basis, right? On a day-to-day basis. It is about understanding that there's magic in the world. And all the magic in the world comes from all the individual people who are their own self. Like you are your own magician. You are your own little magical universe, right? Each person is their own little magical thing. And understanding how to tap into your own personal magic is my goal. My goal is to help you in whatever best way that I can. Whether you never take an elevated treat in your entire life, but you're here listening to my words, right? Whether you're like, that is not my thing. I'm vibing here. I don't need that. I'm good. Okay, right? But you need the message. Or for someone who needs to be a little elevated to hear the message because it lets down your inhibitions a little bit, right? It allows you to hear things, to actually listen to things. It slows you down enough to where you're not gripping onto those old patterns that don't work, right? It's allowing you to be relaxed enough to try something. Because doing the exact same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. So if you're someone who's taking your timeline and you're like, but I know Monday through Friday, I go to work, I come home, I do this, I do that, I have my schedule. Saturdays are for this, Sundays are for that. That's what I can do, right? But it's not working for you, right? If you're one of those people who that is your rigid schedule and you're like, that's what I'm going to do, that's what I know, that's what I know, that's what I know, I don't have time. I don't have time or the energy to think of a new pattern. How do I do all these? That's a lot of thinking to do. That's what I love about the edibles, because a lot of the people who are doing that Monday through Friday and this and that, who are out there watching, who are in this group, there's a lot of y'all. There's a lot of you people, a lot of you that I love, a lot of my little happy hippies, right? And a lot of them are not as happy as they want to be, right? They're hippies. They're trippy little hippies, right? Right? And when it's not working and you can't find like the thing that's going to like help, a lot of times utilizing an elevated treat to stop and do a deep meditation, or just to take a pattern interrupt, or to show up here and you hear something that might make a difference. We get burnt out on life, right? And we're like, I'm not even finding joy on my weekends, right? How many people have gotten to a point in their life where that routine of Monday through Friday, and here's where we go then, and this is where we do that, and we have steak on Saturday, and I clean the house on Sunday, and then we schedule in this and we schedule in that, but my life just feels like it's passing me by and I have no control over it. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm just doing the things. Here's the thing. If you're just doing the things and your life is passing you by, and all of those schedules and all of those things make you smile, right? You're like, I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm not talking to you. If this is your life, I just described your life like that sounds like bliss to me, then that is you're happy. Then this is not about you, right? Not everything is for everybody, right? But if you're like Tracy, you just said yes, just getting to the next day, just going through the pattern, it's just do the things and do the things and do the things and do the things. And you feel like something's missing, and you always feel like you're on the verge of a panic attack, but you're not sure why you're on the verge of a panic attack, but you are, if you're just not happy. I just saw like the thing that just came into me was like, the heartbeat thing. And I said, you're just not happy. I start going, right? If your life is like boom, 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 it's just like auto drive, right? And it's not making you happy. Number one, flip the script. But here's the problem, and I'm going to ask this question. So the people that are feeling like I'm talking to them, right? The people that feel like I'm talking to them. I know you just got up late. I knew that you were going to be traveling. I wasn't sure if you even get on here today, Heather. If you're one of those people, right? If you're one of those people and you're like, what? This is where the work comes in. Number one, the reason that a lot of people don't change and don't reclaim their timeline, and that goes back to what I tell you all of the time, right, is defining. What is it that you're looking for? And that's where people are like, I don't know, so I can't change anything. They never are able to say, like, it's not like, well, what do you not like about it? They're like, I don't know. Like, it's not like it's bad. It's not like it's good. You just can't even put your finger on it, right? When you just can't put your finger on it. Anybody else got those problems, right? You just keep figuring, like, I don't know. It's like, it's not right. It's not wrong, but it's just not. Does that make sense? It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just not, right? That is when you are being called. That is when you are being called to stop and do a manifestation or a visualization exercise. I'm going to encourage you to stop, and I want you to do listing and journaling and all of the things. I want you to start defining what it is that you like, because here's the thing. When we get on that pattern of like not of quarantining days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, weekend, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, weekend, right? When we get on that path, number one, we get disgusted. But there's probably as many things that are working in that day. It is just the 10 little things that aren't. The million things might be perfect. It's just the little bitty intricate things that like, oh, that pisses me off. I don't like that, right? So here's the first thing that I'm going to ask that you do, right? The first thing I'm going to ask that you do to kind of give you some direction. Some things that I did. These are just suggestions. Like I tell you all the time, I'm not a doctor. I do not play one on TV. I did not even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. This is just my opinion, right? My opinion. And here's the thing. Like, here's what negative opinions. My dad used to say this all the time. Like, well, I don't know what I think is. My dad would say opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one and they all stink. I'm like, not all the time, right? Because I'm telling you, this is something that I did for me. And if you can utilize this tool for yourself, then whoopee, go for it. If not, if you're like, Tammy, you're crazy ass, I'm not listening to that nonsense, then okay, no big deal. Not a problem. Got you. Don't listen to my crazy nonsense. But I want you to take every day, and I want you, and I tell you this, I talk about gratitude all the time, but I want you to start reclaiming your timeline by finding the things on your timeline that work, that make you happy, that bring you joy, because you want to keep those things, right? The things that bring you joy, the things that you enjoy, the things that you love. And sometimes when we're in this suck cycle, we're in this like kind of like surfing, and you get stuck where like the wave is breaking and you kind of paddle out a little bit, but you get hit with like the shore break and it just pushes you back. Then you get out there and you try it again and it pushes you back, right? You can't see the fun, the things that work because you're stuck in this suck cycle. So the first thing is by raising the vibration surrounding what it is that you're trying to do. So we're going to start by finding the things that we enjoy about our lives. I told y'all sometimes I slip into my hillbilly because I'm from Virginia and I get kind of country sometimes. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you every day to have a gratitude journal. Here's my gratitude journal. And I tell you all these things, like I have journals galore, but here is a stack of journals. But this journal is mine. This is an actual gratitude journal. It's a literal gratitude journal. It has a day of the week. It has a day of the week, right? Day of the week. It says my gratitude for the week of January 2nd through 8th. This week I'm most excited about. The things that you're excited about for the week, list them out. It might be that we do tacos on Tuesday. That might make you happy. And that is okay. I am not saying to just uproot everything, because here's the thing, right? Just like you can't see the forest for the trees, like you don't cut your nose off to spite your face. You can't see the forest for the trees. And you think like you have to see the good. and things. So start with raising the vibration around surrounding your week by pointing out the things that you love and that you want to keep, the things that you love, the things that you are grateful for, right? I started by being grateful for my shitty job that allowed me to work from home. But when I changed the relationship with that job and looked at the grateful side of it, number one, it made it a lot easier to do while I was still doing it. Number two, it made it a lot easier for me to find the next thing and make the next thing right, not just the next thing. Because a lot of times what we do, we get stuck in these suck cycles. And if we don't take the time to stop and pause and to figure out what we like and we don't like about it, we move to the next situation. It's just the next same situation. Can anybody attest to that? Can I get a hallelujah? Amen in the comments. If you have ever gone from one, like jumping from the frying pan into the grease kind of thing, right? It's because you didn't stop to find out what it was that you were actually trying to change. Because you might be trying to change everything and you need to change one teeny tiny little thing. But if you don't stop and look at it and really be honest with yourself, right? There's the things that I write in my journals, if somebody else were to read it, they would not have a clue. They would be like, what is wrong with this rantings and ravings and this crazy woman? In one page, I might be like, fuck this, blah, blah, blah. Then I say, I love this. It's just, you have to be able to get it out, right? So get it out. So number one, start by evaluating your life every day. Do a gratitude journal. Then, right, do a gratitude journal. And then if something pisses you off, write it down and get rid of it in the moment. Because a lot of times it's the million little things. It's the million and one little things that destroy us, that pile, that pile, that pile, that pile, that pile, that pile, that pile. But if somebody talks to you a certain kind of way, and in that moment you can release it on paper, right? You can release it on paper. It might take you months of putting it on paper. Like, I don't like the way that Karen spoke to me at work today. It was disrespectful. It was rude, and it made me feel less than and vulnerable. So number one, when I started writing those things down, number one, it helped me to see where things were bothering me. Then I could go to the root cause of them. But here's what I'm going to tell you. This is like a little baby sneaky way to teach you how to look at yourself and to figure out what it is that you want. This is a way to teach you how to love yourself and honor yourself through lists and gratitudes and being able to approach things a little bit at a time. It's eating the elephant one bite at a time, little one bite at a time. Because here's the thing, when you realize the things that you love and you eliminate the things that you don't, you take back your timeline. Coming home was hard, but I did it. I didn't touch anything. Even though things were not the way I wanted them, it was all right. But everyone was alive, not going to get stuck, not going to let the suck cycle get me. But here's the thing, right, Heather? I'm going to use Heather as an example, okay? Now I'm going to use like what I know, all the things that I know. And I know that Heather is taking some time to go take care of some family in Florida. Her parents is what it looks like. I know her mom for specifics. I'm guessing your dad as well. I'm guessing. She has a family back in Ohio that is still living and doing the things that families do, kids and husbands, right? That's what I'm guessing. Feeling like some pets too, right? And, but Heather, if they're living their life, they're going to work, they're going to school, they're doing all the things that they do day to day, right? And you are in Florida handling business in Florida. You've got to allow them to handle the house, right? And like I said, it's not the way I wanted it to be, but you're not living in that house right now. Like it does not need to be Heather's way because you're not in it, right? You're handling things down here, and you're dealing with that. So all of the things over here, we can't control all of the things, and that's what a lot of this is about, right? This is what a lot of this is about. It's about learning to release and let go of control. It's about allowing others to be accountable and responsible for their worlds, right? But it is hard. It is. And here's the thing. That is because it's hard in your mind. That is because if it's hard, you know what I'm going to tell you. It's because you make it hard, right? Because you make it hard. Read the 4 agreements. You will realize that you cannot control other people. And what I'm going to tell you is this, right? The more we grip onto control, sorry, y'all, I'm not like, I'm trying to make sure I get my pajamas like situated where they're appropriate to come back into the live because I need to get a fan on. Right. And that's where but it is hard, right? It is a lot easier when you truly go inward and you have that moment of like, that woosah moment, right? That you are not responsible for them and their everything, right? Now, that is also a lot of our ego wanting us to feel like if we don't do it our way, it's wrong. And when I tell you, Heather, I understand it's hard. You have not known me long. You've only met the enlightened me, right? You've only met my higher self. Girl, y'all. I tell people all the time, like, as much as this is here, when I talk about like the authenticness and the like the woosah I have found, that other side, that flip side, when I ain't shit, I ain't shit, y'all. I'm telling you, I can be a raging butthole. Like when I'm mad and like everything is like the opposite way and I have to do pattern interrupt, when it gets on me, oh my gosh, it's like all this peace and love and harmony can be directed into this like crazy amount of like vortex of like, Rah! And I have worked really hard to like not get there. And my husband knows, like, I know that he knows because he is like, whether he wants to admit it or not, he's definitely like got some magic. He can definitely feel my emotions and my things. And he knows that one of the things that is my big pattern interrupt, and I've got to do better about hiding it a little bit, is that when things come at me fast and I get that, when you get I call it the mice start running around my body, like all the little strings start getting wound up, like the clock starts running real fast. It's like it starts in your stomach and then you like your chest gets a little tight and like everything in you wants to like say some like snarkiness because I'm witty, I'm quick, and like I think of like awful like things, and I'm like, whoa, this is the old Tammy. Don't even think something like that. It's not productive. But here's what I do, and I found myself doing this. I go, and I was watching TV the other night, and things were happening, and I got frustrated. Like we were talking about something, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying." It's like I told you. It was one of those things where we were saying the exact same things, but we weren't hearing each other. And I was like, hang on." And I went, he said, "Well, you ain't got to get pissed off about it." He's like, "I hear you breathing over there. You ain't got to get all pissy." Kind of like he knew that. Like I was like, "All right, y'all." And I didn't drive home from the airport. Oh my God, I thought I was going to die, but I let him do it and I lived. Took 3 breaths and held on for the ride. Now, I will say this. I am very safe when my husband's driving. Like he picks me up from the airport always. And whenever he's driving, I get to sit back and chill and relax. But he drives like a little old lady. I'm like, go down the road, man. Let's get home. I'm trying to get home. But yeah, so I take the deep breaths and pattern interrupt. So like I said, it is hard. It is hard. And I know that Tracy's up there and she's like, I need to know what to do, right? I need to know how to handle this. So number one, Tracy, I know you're going to leave. I want you to remember to pattern interrupt and to keep a list. I want you to keep that list of things that make you happy. And then in the moment, if something pisses you off, because what happens is we don't get the things that piss us off. And it's little things. You're like, I'm not going to be so petty as to say you hurt my feelings. I'm not saying that you have to tell it to that person in that moment, right? I'm saying write it down, because what happens to us when we don't get those things out is that they build. If you don't put them on paper and acknowledge that they hurt your feelings and at least give them the moment of like, I'm dealing with this right now, then those little things are the things that like pile. and they compound, and it's the million little things that we can never explain that make you explode, right? So just like I want you to keep that gratitude list because I want you to have that good energy, right? I don't want it to all be negative stuff. I want you to start with that gratitude. And I want you to do that for a week, right? For a week, just focus on the positive, right? Then I want you to add in after that week, I want you to start adding in the little things that hurt your feelings in the moment that you would never speak out loud to somebody else. Like the things that are just like hit you wrong, those little tiny things, like things that I wrote on my little list whenever I was having this like come to Jesus with myself, was that like my husband will leave a water bottle or he will leave trash, like his like Pop-Tart wrapper or a toothpick or he just leaves things different places, right? And it takes all of 3 seconds for me to stop and pick it up and clean up because I'm just that person. But every time I saw it, it was just a little crack in my foundation. It was a little bit of like, and here's where this is a woman's brain for y'all. It went to this. If he's watching this, sorry, darling, we've had this conversation. You know how I think. He thinks so little of me. I am just his servant. That he just leaves things because he knows that they'll just disappear. And he has got such a life of leisure that he can just leave things here and yon. Like, would I ever leave things like that? What would the house like? I went through this whole thing because he forgot to throw away his Pop-Tart wrapper. And I could take a Pop-Tart wrapper sitting on the coffee table in the morning after he's gone to work and I'm getting up to do my day as how my marriage is failing because he doesn't love me because of a Pop-Tart wrapper. How insane is that? How do you take a Pop-Tart wrapper on a coffee table as the person who you've been with for 20 years does not love you anymore, thinks so little of you and it was just an oversight. That is how we let the everyday little things break us. That is how we lose control of our timeline. That is how we lose control of our life, by assuming, by letting the million and one little things that you never speak about pile up and ruin us, right? Doesn't it? But do you understand what I'm saying? It's hard to say that out loud. And that's why when you're in an argument or when you're trying to like explain why your life is just overwhelming to you, that nobody gets it, that you can't even talk about it because you don't even know how to put words into it. But when you stop and keep that list and you realize what it is, right? And it would be something like, honestly, as simple as, hey, did you realize you're leaving shit all over the house constantly? And they're like, no, because it's just gone. I'm like, I pick it up every day. And it's very frustrating to have to pick up after another grown human being. And it happens to people around this and my age. And what happens is because you have kids in the house. So we assume that we're like being like, we have a common enemy, right? When you have kids in the house, like we raised his son till like a year ago, you together had this common like enemy, like he's the culprit. And when your kids get out of the house and they get older, right, and you start realizing that, hey, the kids weren't drinking the last of the juice or leaving this much milk in there or like leaving a chip bag with like 3 chips in it, you're like, that's my partner doing that shit. So I've not just been raising you get frustrated. But here's the thing. There are a million and one little things that we do that upset them. It's just not just one way, right? It is not just one way. I'm sure there are things that I do that drive, and I know. Number one, I leave things in the bathroom. Like I leave my curling iron or my blow dryer or whatever just plugged in sitting there, right? But it's because we are afraid, right, to have a conversation, or it's because we see only from our point of view, or again, like I said, it was these such little silly things that you don't even know why, and you can't until you stop. You pattern interrupt, right? You pattern interrupt, and you look at it from like a practical way. And that's what the lists are for me. And again, that's just my way of doing it. Start off with the things that you're very excited about, and then add in the things that you want to change, like the things that are not serving you, right? And what I'm going to tell you is this. Number one, it's going to help you to raise the vibration of your life, because most of us, right, are going to have a longer good list than we are bad list, right? Now, if your bad list is way longer, then maybe you need to reclaim that life a little bit quicker, right? And most of us whose bad list is a lot longer than our good list, we already know why we need to change and reclaim and take our time back, because we know how like things are just shit. We can put your finger on it. But it's for those people, right, who just need to stop quarantining Saturdays and Sundays for the fun, or need to reclaim. I had to learn and still learning. The little stuff is just shit. Focus on the big stuff. Yeah. And here's the thing, right? Most of the time, the big stuff is not as big as you think it is. The big stuff is a lot of teeny tiny little things. And when you stop letting the little tiny things, right, become giant things, then there's not a whole lot of big stuff to handle. And when you're not sweating the small stuff and you're addressing it when it needs to be stressed, and it's no sweat off your back, life becomes so much more beautiful, right? Life becomes so much more beautiful. Now, it might be hard in the moment. It might be hard today, but hard today for a beautiful, easy tomorrow. I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay of being able to come out of the other side. But if your life is like kind of like just ugh, and you're doing nothing, right? If it's kind of gross right now and things aren't working, you're just not happy, and all it kind of just feels heavy right now. And you don't want to, you can live in this like it kind of sucks forever, or you can live in the it's going to suck for a minute and then it's going to be beautiful, right? It's going to suck for a minute. I'm going to do the hard things right now. I'm going to address the shadow work. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to really evaluate what it is. And if you can take time, that's what I had to do, right? I had to realize that I can continue to live in this suck cycle, right? This suck cycle of here and there brief, beautiful moments, but most of the time I'm just blah. Or, right, I can get out of this suck cycle. It might get a lot suckier while I'm trying to figure out how to do it, right? When I'm trying to get out past the shore break, when I'm trying to not get pushed back by that wave, right? When I'm trying to get over that initial like hump. But think about how, if you ever watch anybody surf, all right? They go out and not getting pulled out with a not talking about that. I'm talking about like the old school, like going out to the beach and kind of getting past the shore break, right? When they push past, and you push past where all of that whitewater breaks and all that hard stuff is, right? You get stuck in that. But when you get over that and you get out to where you're sitting on your board and you're in the flow of the ocean, and you can see all of the waves out there, and you can plan how you're going to ride the wave. Now, that's whenever, like, you're in flow. That's like the idea of, it kind of gives me like the analogy that you need, whoever needs to use for being in flow with your life, right? Yeah, it sucked getting past all that white water and getting pushed back and all of that. But when you learn to like evaluate the problem, get over the hump, then you can sit out there, and then as you can see life coming at you. You can figure out which waves which battles you want to fight, which waves you want to ride, right? Now, will you catch a tube on every wave? No. Will some waves knock you off your board and flip you upside down and make you have to paddle back out? It will. But it's like ebbing and flowing, high tide and low tide, right? It's about the ride. It's about the rush. It's about getting back on your board and trying it again. A lot of the problem is me not communicating what I need, and the screw it attitude. I'll just do it. I'm a work in progress. We're practicing, right? It's a practice. And like I said, not every time are you going to be sitting on that board just be like, look how beautiful that life is. I can see the set of waves coming at me. I've developed a plan. I can ride every one of these waves into the shore, right? And knowing that that's the plan, but being okay with sometimes it's going to knock you off your board, and it's going to have your best laid plans not always work, right? But it's getting back on your board, Heather. It's getting back on your board, right? And understanding that as a surfer, you can ride the board and you can be in control of, you know, like your body, but that ocean does its own thing, right? There's other variables in there that are bigger and larger than you, and that's the best one I can give is the ocean, because the ocean is powerful. The ocean is got lots of energy with it. The ocean can react to your energy, because if you're not in flow with the water, it will definitely make you off balance. So what I want to tell you is this, Heather, right? You are sometimes you're in flow and sometimes you're you know, power versus force, right? I want you to think of this. The ocean is powerful, right? The ocean is powerful. And I want you to think about the fact that when you try to force the power, when you try to force it to do what you want it to do, you are always going to lose, right? But when you become in flow and you're in flow with that power of the ocean, you're in the flow of power. And you're just riding the wave and you're feeling the energy and you're staying in flow with it, right? You're letting the power, and you're riding that power and you're feeling that power, and you're allowing it to go through, and you're being as one with that power. So when you ride the power, it's going to work out. But when you try to force that to do it, it's what you want it to do. When you try to do that forcing thing, like putting a square peg into a round hole, it's always going to throw you off kilter, right? Here's the thing. A lot of the problem is me not communicating what I need. I'm going to venture and say this is that you don't communicate what you need, because in that moment, you don't know what you need. So it's easier versus you stopping and doing the inward work to figure out, like, why am I angry in this moment? What are my true needs in this moment? And how do I say that? You're like, it takes a lot more time to do that than it does just to do whatever it is, right? But doing whatever it is going to be your responsibility going forward, because you never spoke up about that not wanting, or not should not being your thing. Example, Pop-Tart wrapper, not communicating what I need, right? I did that for years. I just picked up the toothpicks. I just recycled the water bottles. I just collected the tissues and the last sips and the crumble bags, and just did it, not realizing that every time I was out of flow. I was like, it doesn't even make sense to say something about this, because then I'm just nagging about everything. And I finally said to my husband, I was like, hey, it's like, this is going to sound ridiculous. It's going to sound petty. It's going to sound asinine, right? Yes. When people walk on eggshells around you, it's because you're not communicating, right? They just know that you're going to blow up on them. But if you were to say, I don't like feeling the way that I feel, and I like things to be done a certain way. But what happens is that we realize that some of the expectations that we are setting on our family are shit that we had set on us. We are projecting. We feel like if we're not busy, then we're not productive. And we feel like when they're not doing things to our standards, that they're letting us down. But in true, we are seeing it as a letdown on ourselves, right? So I'm going to tell you this. Number one, you gotta do better, not for them, but for you. Because if they are walking on eggshells, you are out of flow. And people that love you want to see you in flow. They want to see you happy. And just like you want to give them those tool sets to go forward in life. I'm guessing you have kids, right? And you need to teach your daughters how to communicate their needs. You need to teach your sons that you as a woman need to be able, that they need to step up, and there needs to be some open communication. My husband, he's like, how do I know? I can't read your mind. Like, I don't know exactly where you're coming from. You know, they need to know. And I was like, very honest. I'm like, it frustrates me because I see it as a lack of respect, and that you don't think that I have anything better to do than just to pick up after everybody else, and that it's my job. And he was like, well, why did you feel like it was your job? Because I'm not going to leave the house messy. And you can't come home from work, right, to pick up your nonsense when you as a grown person should have seen this bullshit before you left the house. It's very frustrating, right? He was like, okay, I can pick up after myself. And he does a fine job doing it. Does he forget some days? Once in a blue moon? And he'll even say, hey, I am not saying that you have to pick up after me. I just forgot to do that. I'm like, hey, I don't want you nervous about it. It's a family thing. You know that it bugs me, right? You also know that I also know that that's not how you mean it, right? I know that that's not what it is. We just live in our house, and sometimes you just don't feel like throwing stuff away, right? You just forget, and it happens. And I'm not, as long as we have a conversation about it and it's not an everyday thing, to err is human, right? We all make mistakes. I did it for 10 years. It's a habit. I get it, right? Not at home anymore, but it still rings true, right? Because they're all here all the time. But here's the thing. You don't want to be the energy that they're like, glad she's in Florida because that we can do what we want to, right? But just be honest about what it is that you need, right? What it is that you need, because I'm going to let you know something. For me, it was less about the Pop-Tart wrapper and more about my feelings around like the emotional piece. We're going to attach and grip onto things that we can see they're tangible, but most of the time it's way deeper than that. And when you start making the list, it starts coming through, right? It starts coming through. It starts truly coming through. It's like mismatched ideas of like how to do things. It's about relationships and power struggles and forcing and all the things. And that's what we're afraid to look at. We're using all these little 1 million little small things, and it helps. It's a me problem, not a them problem, right? What I'm going to tell you, though, is that when you do the list, you will start getting to the nitty gritty of what the true essence of all of it is. And when you get to the true essence of it and you approach it and you start riding that wave in flow, right? When you start riding the waves in flow, because again, it's not going to be like if you're a surfer, you don't want flat oceans. That's no fun. If everything was just this all the time, you're like, life is boring. I don't like it. Nothing changes. Nothing fun happens. Nothing happens. It's just here. Just that line I saw. That life is always going to be the hills and valleys, right? The dips, the waves, the big waves, the small waves, the tubes, the not tubes, the head high and glassy, right? It is always going to be the next thing coming at you. But what you need to do is learn to get into flow, to honor yourself, to do things from a place of power versus force, and to stay in that flow of energy. And the better that you are at holding that space, the better that you are at being grateful and raising that vibration, the better that your life will be, right? When you're not quarantining things, when you're riding that wave, when you're allowing the wave might come in on a Tuesday sometimes, right? And you might have the most exhilarating Tuesday you ever had, and Saturday might be the flattest water days, right? But it's about honoring the fact that you deserve to be in flow, honoring the fact that you have the power to stand in power and not try to force your life to happen in a certain way. A lot of our anxieties, a lot of our problems with life comes from us trying to force life to be something that we think it should be. So here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to hear for an hour and 17 minutes. I'm going to encourage you each. Take some deep breaths today. Pattern interrupt. Use the tools at your disposal, right? Sometimes it takes an elevated treat to kind of calm you down and to help you go within and do that meditation and start that list. But it's important to do it, right? So take one step today to reclaim your timeline, to have that self-love, to be in flow with the universe, right? It is love day. It is Valentine's Day. This is not the message I thought was going to come out. It's a message that came out. I never know. It happens like it happens. I am going to give us one poll today to see what our crystal affirmation is on Valentine's Day with our learning to conversate, learning to make our list, learning to regain our time, to be our very best version of ourselves through So Monday Wake and Bake's affirmation card. Let's see if it's going to be in conjunction with our discussion today. It's interesting how that works, right? I'm going to flip these this way. We're going to take some deep breaths in. Okay, and don't forget, if you would need to get some elevated treats, I'm trying to work on something fun for this week, something new and exciting. I'm not sure if that's going to be yet, but don't forget the order form. If you get that filled out within 24 hours of paying the invoice, your order will be filled. I got some orders in last week. Your invoices are in your inbox if you have placed an order. So if you placed the order at the end of last week on Friday, it's there. And if you need anything, please let me know. The order form is pinned to the announcements. Oops. Okay, cards jump. That's what happens in this deck constantly is a card will jump. All right. So interestingly enough, we got these cards the other day. So the first one is Black Kyanite is our card today. And it says Black Kyanite, yep, jumpers. It says set strong boundaries. And so let's see what Black Kyanite says about setting strong boundaries. And interesting enough, I feel like so we're going to talk about Black Kyanite in today's message, right? How it corresponds with today's message. So Black Kyanite, setting strong boundaries enables healthy relationships. However, sometimes requiring saying no. When the people in your life ask things of you, it's important for your own self-care to separate your needs from those of others as a part of your day-to-day routine. Instead of giving others until your cup is empty, set limits to ensure you have enough love and energy left to nurture all your valued relationships in a healthy way over the long term. Resist any feelings of guilt. Stand strong in your power and own your boundaries. Stand strong in your power and own your boundaries, right? And this is interesting enough because Black Kyanite says, what boundaries do you need to create? Those are the questions to ask. Which are non-negotiable for you and where can you be flexible? How do you know that unless you do this exercise, right? If you are having trouble understanding where your boundaries are, if you do not know how to set a boundary or what your boundary needs to be, start with this gratitude list and this what pisses you off list. Week 1, every day and every moment, like write down 3 or 4 times a day things that you're happy, things that you're grateful for. Even if they're small, right? You're going to raise the vibration surrounding your life by going into gratitude. Then the next week, when things, little bitty things, you're going to still do your gratitude. But when somebody hurts your feelings, or you got to pick up the Pop-Tart wrapper, or when you get home and like everything's not like you want it to be, write down the things that aren't like you want it to be. Then I want you to look at those things, right? And realize where your boundaries need to be. Does it need to be a conversation with, hey, I would appreciate the tone in your voice to change when you speak with me because on this date, and this date, you really hurt my feelings. These are examples of times. And they're going to say, well, I didn't mean it that way. And I know that you didn't. But please be more cognizant because that's a boundary I need. When someone speaks to me in a way that hurts my feelings or makes me feel less than, I'm no longer going to tolerate that. So I'm asking you to be more cognizant of how you speak with me. That's a boundary, right? That is a boundary. The boundary may be understand that I love you and I do work from home and I don't like there being a mess all day long, but I'm going to gather your trash. If you don't start gathering, I'm going to leave it on your side of the bed. So it's going to be your responsibility. Even if I move it out of the house, I'm feeling some kind of way about there being just random little things. And I feel like you as a grown up leaving random little things around the house that are just messy is a disrespectful sign to me that I'm no more than the maid, that I can just pick up after everybody because my time doesn't matter, that you think so little of me that you can just leave trash everywhere, so little of our home that you would just leave trash everywhere. Please don't do that going forward. I've now set a boundary. Now they understand it and it's communicated and we can figure it out, right? The next time it happens, it's not like I'm being petty. I've spoken about it. Setting boundaries. But sometimes we don't know how to set them because we're not sure because everything pisses us off and nothing pisses us off. So you've got to define it, right? And that's deserve that you deserve better. Decide that you deserve better. Decide what it is that you need better. Those are your boundaries, okay? So I want you to set your boundaries this week by doing those things, right? And you don't have to, you just need to start writing things down and like having a journal and a place to put your thoughts. And that only person reading that is you. Don't judge yourself. Don't edit yourself. Keep that for you, okay? So what boundaries do you need to create and which are non-negotiable for you and where can you be flexible? Because things are ebbing and flowing, right? It is, if you're dealing with relationships specifically, you have to be able to work with everybody and kind of come with a compromise. But if you don't know, you can't do those things. So you've got to know first, right? Number 1, your affirmation this week. I care for myself and others by maintaining firm boundaries with people in my life. Today, say no to requests and you own a choice without explanation, right? And I love that. So let's look at rose quartz. And rose quartz, interestingly enough, is open your heart, what rose quartz says. Rose, this has been pulled a couple of times recently. Rose Quartz says, open your heart. Remember your first love. It should be you. Embrace radical, unconditional self love, right? And this is what this is about, right? This is a great way because you have to, this will help guide you to a place of understanding, patience, and joy, which you can then share with others. By embracing unconditional love for yourself, you may open up your heart to receiving the kind of love you need and deserve from others. So go ahead, fall head over heels in love with yourself. Only then will you be able to express that level of true love with that special someone. And the questions for that are, what would it look like to show yourself unconditional love? And that goes back to setting boundaries, right? Because when you love yourself, you treat yourself like something you love, and you can say no to those things that do not serve you, right? So that's what our message is today. It's Valentine's Day. I love each and every one of you, whether I've met you in person or not. People can hate for no reason. I can love for no reason. I love me. I love you. I want you to love you so that you can then love me. Okay? And we need more love in this world. So, on that note, happy Valentine's Day. Go out and do something today, even though it's a Monday. Do it fun on purpose, right? Somebody says, oh, Valentine's Day is on a Monday. That sucks. I'm like, why? It's a new week to show new love and start the week off with like some gifts of fun, some flowers on a Monday. Who doesn't love flowers and chocolates on a Monday? I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. As always, peace, love, and feast. And stay elevated, my friends. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. And I'll see y'all back here tonight for Magic Monday. I'm not sure. We may not do Magic Monday tonight because we've done Wake and Bake today. And I might spend some time with my boo tonight. So that might be what's on the mark for tonight. So I've not advertised it, but we will see. I'm definitely doing Wake and Bakes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So on that note, y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.